Welcome to History Uncovered, where we delve into the stories and events that have shaped our world. If you're a fan of history, be sure to hit that subscribe button below. We release new videos every day, so you'll always have something new to discover. By subscribing, you'll be the first to know when our latest episodes are released, and you'll be supporting us in our mission to bring fascinating stories from the past to a wider audience. In this episode, we journey back to a time when the Mediterranean echoed with the clash of shields and the roar of battle cries, to the cradle of Western civilization, ancient Greece. Here, amidst the backdrop of soaring mountains and azure seas, a tale of heroism, sacrifice, and defiance unfolded, forever etching its mark on the annals of history: the Battle of Thermopylae. Thermopylae, a name that resonates with valor and determination, a narrow coastal passage where a handful of Greek warriors, led by the indomitable Spartan King Leonidas, stood their ground against the overwhelming might of the Persian Empire. An empire that, under the ambitious gaze of King Xerxes, sought to expand its dominion, to bring the fiercely independent city-states of Greece under its vast imperial fold. From the bustling agora of Athens to the rugged training grounds of Sparta, we'll traverse the landscapes that bore witness to intense political intrigues, alliances, and the indomitable spirit of a people who would not be conquered. We'll peel back the layers of time, separating fact from fiction, to uncover the true essence of this legendary confrontation. So, prepare yourself for a journey through time as we explore the events leading up to this epic battle, the strategies employed, the heroes who emerged, and the legacy they left behind. Join us as we step into the shadows of giants, retracing the steps of warriors who, against all odds, defended their land, their honor, and their way of life at the gates of Thermopylae. In the twilight years of the 5th century BC, the sprawling Persian Empire, still in its infancy, cast its gaze westward, towards the fragmented city-states of Greece. But why this sudden interest in these distant lands? The seeds of conflict were sown when Athens and Eretria lent their support to the Ionian revolt against the mighty Persian Empire, led by Darius I. This revolt, although unsuccessful, was a thorn in the side of an empire that, despite its vastness, was still grappling with internal revolts and the challenges of consolidating power. Darius wasn't just any ruler. He had ascended the throne through cunning and had spent a significant portion of his reign quelling rebellions. The Ionian revolt wasn't just a minor skirmish on the fringes of his empire, it was a direct challenge to his authority. Determined to make an example of those who dared to defy him, especially the Athenians, Darius saw more than just revenge. He saw an opportunity to extend the golden grip of the Persian Empire into the tumultuous realm of ancient Greece. In a show of might, Darius dispatched Mardonius in 492 BC, who swiftly secured territories leading up to Greece, brought Thrace under Persian control, and turned Macedon into a puppet kingdom, bending the knee to Persian whims. But Darius wasn't content with just military might. In 491 BC, he sent envoys to every Greek city-state, demanding a symbolic offering of earth and water, a clear sign of submission. Many, having witnessed the might of Persia, complied. But Athens and Sparta? They responded with defiance. Persian ambassadors in Athens faced trial and a grim end in a pit, while in Sparta, they met their fate at the bottom of a well. This audacious act meant war was inevitable. Yet, in a gesture of appeasement, or perhaps honor, Sparta sent 2 of its own to the Persian capital, Susa, offering them for execution in place of the fallen Persian heralds. The stage was set. Darius, fueled by ambition and a thirst for vengeance, dispatched an expeditionary force under the command of Datis and Artaphernes. In 490 BC their journey of conquest saw them subdue Naxos and the Cycladic Islands, and lay waste to Eretria. Their final destination? Athens. Landing at the Bay of Marathon, they were met not by a welcoming committee, but by a determined, albeit heavily outnumbered, Athenian army. Against the odds, in the shadow of looming Persian banners, the Athenians clinched a staggering victory at the Battle of Marathon, sending the Persian forces retreating back to Asia. Here's the reworked script for your YouTube video. Following the setback at Marathon, Darius was far from defeated. He began amassing a colossal army, intending to bring all of Greece under Persian dominion. But fate had other plans. In 486 BC, Egypt, one of Persia's provinces, rose in rebellion, diverting Darius's attention. Before he could turn his gaze back to Greece, death claimed him, and the vast Persian Empire was inherited by his son, Xerxes I. Xerxes was not a ruler to let revolts or past defeats deter him. He swiftly quelled the Egyptian uprising and turned his focus back to Greece. This wasn't going to be a mere punitive expedition. Xerxes envisioned a grand invasion, meticulously planned and executed. He undertook monumental projects, like bridging the Hellespont to march his army into Europe and carving a canal across the isthmus of Mount Athos, a strategic move to avoid past naval blunders. By 480 BC, Xerxes' preparations bore fruit. His army, so vast that legends speak of them drinking entire rivers dry, marched across the Hellespont bridges. Faced with this overwhelming force, many Greek cities, fearing annihilation, submitted to the Persians. Meanwhile, Athens had been gearing up for a showdown. Under the strategic vision of the Athenian leader Themistocles, they had built a formidable fleet of triremes. But they faced a dilemma. Their numbers were insufficient to challenge the Persians both on land and sea. They needed allies. In a move uncharacteristic for the often fractious Greek city-states, a congress convened at Corinth in 481 BC, forging a confederation. This alliance, despite its members' past animosities, had the mandate to rally defenses against the Persian juggernaut. As spring blossomed in 480 BC, the Congress reconvened. A proposal emerged to block Xerxes at the Vale of Tempe. Acting on this, a force of 10,000 hoplites was dispatched. But upon reaching, they realized the futility of this defense, especially after learning that Xerxes' forces had already crossed the Hellespont. Themistocles then proposed a new strategy. The narrow pass of Thermopylae could be their best chance to bottleneck the Persian army. And to prevent any naval flanking, the Greek fleet could guard the Straits of Artemisium. This two-front defense was adopted. Yet, contingencies were in place. Should the Persians break through, the Peloponnesian cities would fortify the Isthmus of Corinth, and Athens would evaluate its vulnerable to the city of Troezen. As the Persian juggernaut slowly advanced through Thrace and Macedon, the Greeks were alerted to their approach in August, thanks to a well-placed spy. But timing was not on the Greek side. The Spartans, recognized as the military leaders of the Greek alliance, were in the midst of the Carnea festival, a sacred period when warfare was forbidden. This very festival had previously delayed their arrival at the Battle of Marathon. Additionally, the Olympic Games were underway, reinforcing the prohibition against warfare. Yet, the urgency of the situation prompted the Spartan leadership to act. King Leonidas I, with his elite 300-strong royal bodyguard, the Hippias, embarked on a mission. Their goal? Rally Greek forces en route to Thermopylae and hold the line until the full might of the Spartan army could join them. Legend, as chronicled by Herodotus, speaks of a prophecy from the Oracle at Delphi, which the Spartans had consulted earlier. The prophecy hinted at the fall of Sparta or the death of a king. Perhaps influenced by this prophecy, Leonidas, believing he was marching to his doom, chose only those Spartans who had living heirs. By the time Leonidas and his force reached Thermopylae, their numbers had swelled to over 7,000. They set up their defenses at the middle gate, the narrowest point of the pass, fortified by a wall built by the Phocians. But Leonidas was informed of a mountain track that could potentially allow the Persians to outflank them. To counter this, he positioned 1,000 Phocians to guard the route. In mid-August, the Persian shadow loomed large as their forces were spotted approaching Thermopylae. The Greeks, realizing the gravity of their situation, convened a war council. While some suggested retreating to the Isthmus of Corinth, local states like the Phocians and Locrians vehemently proposed a defense at Thermopylae. Leonidas, ever the leader, assuaged fears and committed to the defense. When faced with the overwhelming number of Persian arrows, one soldier lamented they'd blot out the sun. To which, in a display of Spartan wit, it was remarked that they'd then have the luxury of fighting in the shade. As tensions mounted, Xerxes, ever confident in his superior numbers, sent an emissary to Leonidas, offering peace in exchange for their weapons. Leonidas's defiant response, "Mon lebe or come and take them," echoed the Greek resolve. With diplomacy failing, the stage was set for an epic confrontation. Xerxes, perhaps underestimating his foe, waited 4 days, hoping the Greeks would scatter. But when they stood their ground, the battle was inevitable. The sheer magnitude of Xerxes' army for his second invasion of Greece has been a topic of debate for millennia. Ancient sources, often prone to exaggeration, present staggering numbers. Herodotus, the renowned historian, pegged the number at a whopping 2.6 million soldiers, with an equal number in support roles. Simonides, a poet of the era, went even further, suggesting a figure of 4 million. Ctesias, on the other hand, proposed a more conservative 800,000. Modern scholars, equipped with a more analytical lens, often challenge these ancient accounts. They argue that such numbers might be the result of miscalculations, or perhaps embellishments by the triumphant Greeks. By examining the logistical capabilities of the Persians, the sustainability of their bases, and the manpower constraints of the era, contemporary estimates usually range between 120,000 to 300,000 troops. The true number, lost to the sands of time, remains elusive. But one thing is clear: Xerxes was determined to ensure success by amassing a force that was, in his eyes, unbeatable, both on land and at sea. The exact number of Persian soldiers at Thermopylae remains a mystery. It's uncertain whether Xerxes' entire army even made it to the pass, or if he stationed garrisons in regions like Macedon and Thessaly. The composition of the Greek army at Thermopylae has long been a subject of historical debate. Ancient chroniclers, such as Herodotus and Diodorus Siculus, offer varying figures, painting a complex picture of the forces that stood against the Persian tide. Herodotus speaks of Lacedaemonians, Spartan Hoplites, Mantineans, and other Peloponnesians, with numbers that sometimes align and sometimes diverge from Diodorus's account. The Thespians, Malians, Thebans, Phocians, and Opuntian Locrians also joined the ranks, with each source providing its own tally. The grand totals, according to these historians, fluctuate, with Herodotus suggesting a force ranging from 5,200 to over 6,000, while Diodorus's estimates hover around 7,400 to 7,700. Yet, the discrepancies don't end there. The number of Peloponnesians and the exact count of Lacedaemonians remain points of contention. Diodorus's figures, for instance, are ambiguous about whether his count of Lacedaemonians included the famed 300 Spartans or stood apart. Pausanias, another voice from antiquity, largely echoes Herodotus but introduces a significant number of Locrians, pushing the potential total even higher. Modern historians, often leaning towards Herodotus's account, estimate the Greek force to be around 7,000 strong. However, as the battle raged on and the situation grew dire, many retreated, leaving a determined force of approximately 3,000 to face the Persian onslaught. From a strategic perspective, the Greeks' defense of Thermopylae was a masterstroke. By holding this position, they effectively utilized their forces, stalling the Persian advance into the heart of Greece. This defensive stance meant they didn't need to rush into a decisive confrontation. The narrow passages of Thermopylae and Artemisium neutralized the numerical advantage of the Persians, leveling the playing field. For the Persians, however, time was of the essence. The logistical challenge of supplying their vast army meant they couldn't stay stationary for long. They had to make a choice: retreat or push forward. And pushing forward meant breaking through Thermopylae. Tactically, Thermopylae was a dream location for the Greeks. The narrow pass was tailor-made for their style of combat. The hoplite phalanx, a formidable formation of heavy infantry, could easily hold the pass, immune to any flanking attempts, especially by cavalry. In this tight space, the Persian infantry, lighter and less heavily armored, would find it challenging to break through the Greek lines. However, every stronghold has its vulnerability. For the Greeks at Thermopylae, it was the mountain track running parallel to the pass. While not suitable for cavalry, Persian infantry, adept at mountain warfare, could traverse it. Aware of this potential Achilles' heel, Leonidas, informed by locals, stationed Phocian troops to guard this alternate route, ensuring the Greeks weren't outflanked. On the 5th day, as the sun rose over Thermopylae, Xerxes, the Persian king, grew impatient. Determined to break the Greek resistance, he first commanded 5,000 archers to unleash a hail of arrows upon the Greek lines. But the distance, combined with the Greeks' sturdy wooden shields and bronze helmets, rendered this assault ineffective. Undeterred, Xerxes then dispatched a force of 10,000 to the Medes and Scythians with a singular mission: capture the Greeks. The Persians, in waves, launched a direct assault on the Greek position. The Greeks, strategically positioned at the pass's narrowest point, utilized their numbers efficiently. The scant details we have suggest they stood shoulder to shoulder, their large shields overlapping, forming a formidable phalanx. This formation, with its layered spear points, was a bulwark against the Persians, whose shorter weapons and weaker shields were ill-suited for such close combat. The Greeks not only held their ground but inflicted heavy casualties, so much so that Xerxes reportedly rose from his seat in disbelief multiple times. Recognizing the gravity of the situation, Xerxes then played his trump card, the Immortals, an elite force of 10,000. Yet, even these seasoned warriors couldn't breach the Greek defense. The Spartans, displaying tactical genius, feigned retreats only to turn and decimate the pursuing Persians. The day's battle, despite the overwhelming numbers and the might of the Persian elite, saw the Greeks standing resolute and unyielding. On the dawn of the second day, Xerxes, undeterred by the previous day's failures, dispatched his infantry once more, hoping that the Greeks, few in number, were now weakened and vulnerable. Yet, the day unfolded much like the one before, with the Persians unable to breach the Greek defenses. By day's end, Xerxes retreated to his camp, consumed by confusion and uncertainty. But as the sun set, a glimmer of hope emerged for the Persians. A local Trachinian, Ephialtes, approached the Persian king with invaluable information, a mountain path that bypassed the formidable Greek position at Thermopylae. Driven by the promise of reward, Ephialtes offered to guide the Persian forces through this alternate route. His treachery would forever tarnish his name, turning Ephialtes into a synonym for nightmare in Greek and marking him as the quintessential traitor in their history. Acting on this newfound intelligence, Xerxes dispatched his commander, Hydarnes, and the elite Immortals to flank the Greeks using the path revealed by Ephialtes. While Herodotus remains ambiguous about the exact composition of this force, Diodorus suggests that Hydarnes led a formidable contingent of 20,000 men. This path, winding around Anapia, offered the Persians a strategic advantage, with routes leading to both Phocis and the Malian Gulf, potentially allowing them to encircle and trap the Greek forces. As dawn broke on the third day, the Phocians, stationed on the mountain path, were startled by the rustling of oak leaves. The advancing Persian column, led by Hydarnes, had taken them by surprise. While the Phocians scrambled to arm themselves, Hydarnes hesitated, fearing they were Spartans. But Ephialtes, the traitor who had revealed the path, assured him otherwise. Instead of engaging, the Persians showered the Phocians with arrows and continued their march, leaving them behind. Back at the pass, Leonidas, informed of the impending encirclement, convened a war council. Some argued for a strategic withdrawal, but Leonidas, bound by honor and duty, chose to stay with his Spartans. He gave the other Greek contingents the choice to leave. While many retreated, around 2,000 warriors, including 700 Thespians and 400 Thebans, chose to stand their ground, facing certain death. The motivations behind Leonidas' decision have been a subject of debate. Some say it was Spartan law, which forbade retreat. Others believe he was heeding an oracle's prophecy, sacrificing himself for Sparta's salvation. A widely accepted theory is that Leonidas' stand was a tactical move, allowing the majority of the Greek forces to escape the Persian cavalry. By holding the pass, even at the cost of their lives, they ensured the survival of thousands. The Thebans' presence is intriguing. Herodotus hints they might have been hostages, ensuring Thebes' loyalty. But as Plutarch questioned, why not send them away with the retreating Greeks? It's likely these Thebans opposed Persian rule and couldn't return to a potentially subjugated Thebes. The Thespians, on the other hand, displayed an extraordinary act of valor. Representing every hoplite from their city, their decision to stay wasn't just about strategy, it was a profound act of self-sacrifice, a trait that would echo in Thespian history. As dawn's first light broke, Xerxes performed his ritual libations, allowing time for his elite immortals to navigate the mountain path. Once ready, he initiated his assault. A formidable Persian contingent, a mix of light infantry and cavalry, surged forward, clashing with the Greeks who had now ventured from their fortified positions to engage the enemy in the broader section of the pass. Their aim was clear: inflict maximum casualties on the Persian forces. The Greeks, armed initially with spears, fought fiercely until their weapons broke, after which they resorted to their xife, short swords. In this brutal melee, two of Xerxes' own brothers, Abracomes and Hyperanthes, met their end. The legendary Spartan king, Leonidas, too, fell, struck by Persian arrows. A fierce skirmish ensued over his body, with the Greeks ultimately reclaiming it. As the elite immortals closed in, the remaining Greeks retreated to a hill behind their wall. The Thebans, seeing the inevitable, distanced themselves from their allies, raising their hands in surrender. They were later branded by the king as a mark of their treachery. The remaining defenders, undeterred by their dire circumstances, continued their resistance with unmatched valor. Some wielded swords, while others, weaponless, fought with bare hands and teeth. Recognizing the futility of a direct assault, Xerxes ordered the hill to be encircled. A relentless barrage of arrows from the Persian archers rained down upon the Greeks until none remained standing. Recent archaeological findings by Spartan Marinatos in 1939 unearthed a plethora of Persian bronze arrowheads on Kolonos Hill, leading to a shift in the believed location of this last stand. With the valiant Greek rearguard decimated, the path through Thermopylae lay open to the Persian army. Herodotus estimates the cost of this victory for the Persians to be as high as 20,000 men. The Greeks, on the other hand, suffered significant losses, with the rearguard alone believed to have lost around 2,000 warriors over the course of the battle. As dawn broke, Xerxes initiated his assault on the Greeks. Despite being vastly outnumbered, the Greeks, led by King Leonidas, fiercely resisted the Persian onslaught. In the midst of battle, Leonidas was killed, and a fierce struggle ensued over his body, which the Greeks ultimately reclaimed. As the elite Persian immortals closed in, the Greeks retreated to a strategic hill position. The Thebans, sensing the inevitable, surrendered, while the remaining Greeks continued their valiant defense. Xerxes, in a fit of rage, ordered the decapitation and crucifixion of Leonidas' body, a gesture uncharacteristic of the Persians who typically honored valiant warriors. In the aftermath of the battle, the Greeks honored their fallen by erecting a stone lion at Thermopylae to commemorate Leonidas. His remains were later reburied with full honors in Sparta. With the pass now open, the Greek naval blockade at Artemisium became redundant. The Persian army proceeded to sack Greek cities, including Athens. The Greeks, in response, fortified the Isthmus of Corinth and prepared for another stand. The naval battle of Salamis soon followed, where the Greeks secured a decisive victory, crippling the Persian fleet. Xerxes, fearing a Greek counterattack on the bridges across the Hellespont, retreated with the bulk of his army, leaving behind a select force under Mardonius to complete the conquest. The following year, the Greeks achieved a decisive victory against Mardonius at the Battle of Plataea, effectively ending the Persian invasion. Thermopylae, while a tactical defeat for the Greeks, became a symbol of courage and resistance against overwhelming odds. The battle showcased the valor of free men defending their homeland. The Greek stand at Thermopylae has been celebrated for demonstrating the advantages of training, equipment, and terrain in warfare. The battle's legacy is not just in its military lessons, but in the enduring moral example it set for the world. Thank you for watching this episode of History Uncovered. We've journeyed through the rugged terrain of Thermopylae, revisiting the valor and strategies that have left an indelible mark on history. The tales of bravery and sacrifice continue to inspire generations. If you found this video informative and engaging, please like and subscribe to our channel for more fascinating stories from the past. And don't forget to ring the bell for notifications so that you never miss a new video. Dive deep into history with us and uncover the tales that have shaped our world.